This is the second video of a series, so if you haven't watched the previous one, I suggest you hit that one up first. I've got a link in the description. Also, at the end of the video, I included half an hour of bonus interview footage that I just couldn't get myself to leave on the cutting room floor. 3, 2, 1.
See you later, Rippy. Hi, sweetie.
Have fun.
See you guys later.
All right.
All right, love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have a good one. You guys enjoy.
Traveling and getting there was different. It's the first time I've flown since all this kind of chaos happened, so that was different.
To travel beforehand is kind of exciting, and anticipation of going to an event and doing something super fun.
We didn't have any mishaps going there except for one time. Our flight was running a little late out of Idaho Falls, so that kind of moved some stuff around for us when we got to Salt Lake and Seattle.
I was starting to get antsy because that flight was delayed, and I know how that can snowball. Jacob probably wasn't thinking about that at all, but I was certainly starting to look, and even starting to look at optional flights.
And our luggage didn't arrive on the plane that we were on, so we were walking around trying to find someone from Delta to talk about our bags, and she's like, oh, they're here. And we're like, no, they're not. But that was the only problem, really. We picked them up, our driver from the hotel came, and we just loaded them up, went to the hotel, ordered a pizza, and went to bed.
All right, how's the travel yesterday, Jacob?
Pretty good.
Pretty smooth?
A little tired, but that's fine. Gonna put the bikes together, laying everything out, make sure you have everything. And then we're gonna go to a trip to REI because you can't fly with CO2, lighters, and fuel. So we have to go get that. Then we'll build our bikes and go for a shakedown.
Last meal
Yeah. Last meal.
before the race.
The start is always like a little, there's like nervous energy, and I still get that, and that's good. I'm glad I get that nervous energy because you don't know what the journey is going to bring, which is a big unknown, which is why I always go back. There's just like all the other racers and walkers and a couple skiers, and everyone's just like futzing around. Everyone's just like kind of waiting. We were there probably a couple hours early, so you're just kind of like waiting for this start to go on. You have some like quick chat conversations, but everyone's just kind of waiting for the same thing. So pretty small talk, this and that.
The historic Iditarod Trail. Any final words, Jacob?
No, looks like it's gonna be a fun race.
Fun race for sure. You.
At the start, I wasn't too nervous. I like kind of knew what I was getting myself into, sort of. I think I was kind of like feeling the racer in me. I was kind of looking around. There's a couple guys that took off at the start, like kind of going at pretty good pace because it's like flat and then there's a little bit of climbing and then it's kind of rolly for a while. So I remember like 4 or 5 guys and we all took off and that was super fun. We were kind of going after it for a little bit. And then like 10 minutes in, Jay and I stop. We're like, oh dude, I'm overdressed. He's like, oh, me too. And then we like stop, everybody passes us. We stuff in our jackets. And once you're out there, you're just all friends. You're just all riding bikes.
Our goal was to finish and to finish successfully with no frostbite and to remain friends and have a good time while being out there. I really do love racing as a pair because there is another dynamic when you are a team. That's how business works too. When you have a good team and you discuss things together and no one's the boss, that's how you become successful. Yeah, you need a leader, if you will, and someone to guide the ship, but we all work on it together to get to that same spot. And that's life lesson stuff.
Here we are. It's like sun's about to go down. Got this guy here. We just rode the runway. Kind of got the hot tip that there's some overflow out there. Looks like maybe there's a road down here or something that cuts in to the left. We'll scope it out. First night out. Made it till 2 o'clock. Probably covered about 60 miles. About 0 degrees. Kind of some grinding snow today. So it took us 12 hours to get here. But yeah, it was a beautiful day out too. Gonna get some food, catch some Z's, do it again tomorrow. So here we are, giving an update. It is 3:20, so 25 hours after we started. We're sitting inside getting ready to munch out. Little change in plans, but no big deal. Yeah, we actually didn't bring enough food, so we're gonna get some.
Jay and I made the decision to step back from the self-supported category when we looked at our rations right before Squetna.
Upon arriving to Squentna, I said, Jacob, all right, man, like we're both hungry, so we need to eat a big meal right now.
We looked at what we had. We had to have a big meal because it was the next big step over to Finger Lake. And I knew what we just did, and I knew it was probably gonna be more of the same.
We're gonna stop, use our stove, we're gonna eat this meal, and then this is the food we have left. We had some snacks, we had limited food. We had a long ways to go yet to get to our drop bag. I'm talking about this and saying, Jay, we have a decision to make here, you know, if we're gonna stick with self-support, this is our situation, and this is what we're gonna survive on. We're probably gonna be a bit depleted, it might be challenging, who knows, but we'll get there.
When I realized Squetna was right there, it was just kind of hard to not say no. It would have been a big bummer coming into Finger Lake like that, just super depleted. Like we probably would have eaten all of our food and we would have been starving, and it would have been really hard to come back from that with what was just left in our drop bags.
He just casually looks over at me and he's like, yeah, I don't like being hungry. Let's go get a meal. And I said, right on, man. I said, I think that's the right decision. I mean, The kid is growing and eating tons. He doesn't want, I don't like to be hungry either.
I don't like to be hungry. No, I don't think anyone really does, especially when you're trudging like through snow and like food's how you kind of keep your joyness up. Like, oh, a sweet piece of chocolate or protein or whatever, like that's good.
What'd you eat?
I got some biscuits and sausage and gravy and some chicken noodle soup and I think some cake. It's pretty good.
Come here, buddy.
We didn't have any mechanicals on the trail other than a slow leaking tire we had to pump up every 2 hours, so that was kind of a problem to deal with, but it's also nice to stop, you know, look around while you're pumping up your tire.
Yeah, and as far as our pacing goes, we're at the same level. It was never like I had a soft pedal, and I would say I think the same for him. I don't think I'm holding him back. You know, maybe in some summer riding, I think that's going to start to happen this summer. But like right now on snow, like we are very equal.
Number one memory is probably I got to see the northern lights. When the moon came down, it was kind of reflecting into the sky, so it was like red northern lights with some green, and that was super cool to see.
I don't see the northern lights every time I've been up here. That's like not guaranteed. There was hints of them the first night, and then the second night they were pretty cool. I think that would definitely fulfill seeing the northern lights.
Getting ready to drop down Finger Lake. First drop bag, just in time, because we've been starving the whole time. How was your bivvy last night, Jacob?
A little cold. I don't know what temp it got down to, but I was a little chilly.
A little depleted, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. Look at this. Bunch of food here. Grab your bag.
You know, when it comes to cracking or quitting or something, I don't even know how to quit or stop, so that never enters my mind, no matter how bad. I don't know if Jacob reached his limit. I don't think he did. He never expressed it. I was kind of anticipating seeing that and maybe even hoping to see some of that.
I don't think I ever had a thought of quitting necessarily while we were out there. You definitely go for like mood swings while you're out there, like highs and lows. But I think if you let quitting get in your mind, it just grows and grows. So I just try not to talk about that, try not to think about it, because it just brings you down. It can kind of like ruin the vibe while you're out there, and that's not fun for anyone.
You got that TikTok dance down yet?
This is actually one of the moves.
It's a nice move.
You know, we moved smoothly on the trail, we moved efficiently, we moved pretty briskly, but never wasting ourselves and never pushing the pedals too hard. It shows me like the potential and the ability, not just Jacob has, but we have as a team. And that for me is a lot of fun. I gotta have some patience. And if there's something I've learned just in the past few years, it's patience. And so I have to hold back. Honestly, within myself and within my own brain, and not get too antsy and not bark too much, not be in a rush too much. I honestly thought I might have been getting Jacob through some more difficult moments, maybe that was something I was anticipating, but it really never came to be. We certainly had some challenging times, but it wasn't like I needed to kind of coach that through in any way, or talk that through, or change that mindset. So we get out of the canyon, get out of the Dizelle Gorge, and we're starting to get up on Rainy Pass, and for sure, we had a tailwind. And then when we got up top, it was just like, big time. For sure, 30, 40 miles an hour, you know, non-stop. And the riders coming toward us, they had to be covered 100%. I mean, that's the kind of wind that like, you just get frostbite immediately.
I just threw my hood up and I was fine. But I also had to cover my veins, like in my pogies. I had to like put on like the little thumb thing on my jacket. Wind was blowing in there and that was getting cold. And I whipped out the Idaho flag and Jay took some GoPro footage.
Yeah!
Yes, round 2. We're out of here. Where are we going?
That way.
Good answer. That way. Yentna. Second time. Overland crossing soon to come.
High roller horsepower. It's time to meet the chaser. When he's not winning game shows, he's writing books. So please welcome Ken Jennings.
Sorry about that, guys.
Thank you.
Help us visualize every possible misfortune in our lives, so we're ready for them when they arrive.
Here we are, buddy. We got 1 mile left.
Oh, good sunset.
No, this is sunrise. It's not sunset.
Good sunrise.
How was your sleep last night?
It was awesome. I think I got like 20 minutes total.
I don't think we got that much.
I don't think we got that much either, but I fell asleep with a freeze-dried meal in one hand and my head on my knee. And then you're like, come on, let's go. I'm like, yep, yeah. Drank some broth as much as I could. And then that's about it. And then like a couple minute-long naps on the handlebars.
Yeah, it was a tough night.
So,
Snow was slow. Well, pretty good trip.
heck yeah.
Let's go get these guys from the back door. See if they're ready for us.
Oh, they got donuts.
Dude, we got like a half a kilometer. It's gonna be up here on the left.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
So our total time from start to finish was 4 days and 18 hours, and Jay and I were 3rd and 4th overall.
We weren't all that far behind those first 2 guys, actually.
Give your mom a hug.
Hi. Great job.
If you ever get the opportunity to mentor somebody, I say do it. And don't do it looking for it. Do it when it's natural. Do it when it's in front of your face and you have the opportunity. And recognize the opportunity and just like run with it. Because like nothing's more fulfilling. I don't know what Jacob will do in the future. Nobody does. Like, will he continue the sport? Will he get burnt out? Like, I don't know. I'm just happy to share these times now. I'm happy doing it. He seems to be happy doing it. Like, that's good enough. Being a mentor is new to me. I'm trying to do it in a way to be a positive, good mentor. Within that, I believe you also got to keep stepping it up. And I have already been thinking about like what's the next event that I asked Jacob to go to, or what's the next event Jacob asked me to go with him to. I would like to do something else with him, but at the same time, I would also like to do it in a way where, Jacob, this one we're going to race, because that opens up another skill set and another mindset. That's really, I think, what my specialty has been and can be. And so that kind of gets me excited if I was to present the question and he was to say yes.
How about now?
That said, I already emailed the race director of Silk Road in Atlas Mountain. Who knows?
The best meal I had was this candy. It was a soft Jolly Rancher candy with some sugar on it. And it's super good, super sweet. And it was awesome while I was having it. It made my mouth all watery. But note to self, note to anyone who does this stuff, that those grains of sugar and like grains of salt just beat up your tongue. Like, it was just horrendous. It was like sandpaper. Like, the next day, I could just feel how gnarly and mangled it left my mouth. And it was a big mistake. I threw it out at the next checkpoint.
Yeah, like, this was really refreshing for me, you know. I mentioned it in the past 2 years ago. I skipped last year's ITI. The year before, I actually finished, and I said I wasn't satisfied. I finished pretty dry, no feelings, no anything, and I was like, this journey's not doing it for me anymore. This year resparked that journey for me, and I always said I wanted to go back one more time to go to Nome, and so I have that drive today, and I still want to go back one more time to Nome. Honestly, it was really smooth. There was no I don't want to call it whining. I don't want to call it drama. I don't want to call it there wasn't a lot of nervousness. It was really smooth, I would say. For me, it was probably the most relaxed I've been on a trail. And that doesn't mean we weren't moving efficiently or anything. It was just I felt zero pressure. I'm super proud of him. I don't know if he knows how proud he should be of himself. And I think there's certain personalities that just have that and do things because they love them, and they're just straight up humble about it. Jacob likes to sleep. We've had these conversations before. We've done a couple of summer events together. He's interested in experiencing some sleep deprivation, and he does want to test his limits and understand what that means. But he always says to me, "Yeah, 6 hours sounds perfect," and I'm just like, "We can't do 6 hours, man." That's a little much. But I think we kind of softly agree on this 4 hours. I just set the alarm, and I was setting it for about 3.5 hours because I know the value of 30 minutes. I know what it takes to pack up your kit. I know what it takes to set out the kit and boil water and make all that. And that front end and back end time adds up to a big chunk of time. And so I'm always looking to kind of a way to make up time a little bit. And so I do kind of let the alarm go off and then just kind of, "You ready? Yeah, okay, time to go." Neither one of us had a problem getting out of our bags. We were both pretty efficient about just getting up, packing up, and splitting.
I can't push myself too hard. I'll go, but once I start to get wobbly on the bike and I'm falling over a good bit, I know I need to sit down, especially out there when you're taking care of yourself. No one's coming out to get you. So I knew I don't want to get hurt. I want to bed down for a couple hours. I think most nights we were doing 4 hours. Last night we might have done 3. And then the final night we just pushed through all the way. So we got one nap, and that was when we took our bedrolls off to sit down and make a hot meal with our thermos water. And then you're sleeping with one arm under your head, and then your hand is holding your freeze-dried meal, and then you just kind of pass out. And then as soon as you start to fall over, you wake back up and you do it again. And then once it's been 20 minutes or less, you're out of there because you don't want to have that kind of come up and be like, "Oh, dude, we should bivvy right here." It's nope. You're going to keep going, and you're going to get to the finish.
The falling asleep on the bike as soon as you stop, putting your head down and taking a minute and falling asleep immediately. And I just kind of, I heard the word nap a few times, and I'm trying to avoid that thought. I know how hard it is but I also know you start taking naps, you're just starting to eat away at time. It's not even efficient. It's actually more efficient just to try to push through those bits of time. And then finally I was like, let's have a hot meal. So we kind of broke it up with a hot meal. Of course, Jacob was falling asleep with the hot meal in his lap. I think as far as weather goes, it was kind of it was a good weather year. Let's see here. The first day was kind of a typical gray overcast day. And call it teens, single digits or something. The second day was one of those miserable flat light days. All day long. Where you can't see anything. Not quite the ping pong white out, but pretty tough flat light all day long. We were just praying for dark, because then at least you can turn your lights on and have some contrast. And that was all day long on the river. And then on the third day, we got some sunshine. And it was beautiful, amazing. What an amazing way to see the Alaskan range. What an amazing day. Well, we went over Rainy Pass at night, but we traveled through the valley during the day. It was like this. It was bluebird. And that is awesome. It gives me the chills. I love those types of days because it's not It's not often or common. The trail, it was interesting. The snow consistency and the texture of it was just like kind of a slower snow. Even though we had a rideable surface and it wasn't like a sloppy mess, slog type of grind, it was just like no matter what you put into it, you're only going to go 5 miles an hour. You know, I was surprised. I was surprised when it was starting to take us, you know, a day and a half plus to get to Finger Lake, our first drop bag, you know. We came up short on food, you know, like it was moving pretty slow. I was kind of surprised because I have a lot of years to compare it to. Been to Finger Lake in 12 hours, but this year it was like 36 hours or, you know, and that's much different. But fun too. Just to move that way on the trail, you see it differently. If you're moving a different speed, that means you absorb it differently and you appreciate it.
I think I got the itch to race in some spots for sure, especially when the conditions were prime. You have to take advantage of that. You always have to like pump up the tires and be like, all right, it's gonna be good for a while. Let's just put our heads down, put our music in, and try to just like keep going. I think that's always the mentality, and you don't want to like. It's always never an awesome feeling when someone like not necessarily catches you, but like you can see them, but they don't pass you, but they're right there. Or if the person's right in front of you, you know you're doing the same thing to them. So I think you always have an itch to like go a little bit faster than the person in front of you if you can see them. Or you have like maybe the itch to slow down just a little bit, which is harder to let the person behind you pass you. So I think the itch to race picked up in some spots, but I think I always just had to like tell myself like don't blow yourself up, like just try to finish.
I am a racer by heart, and I love competition. I love to play the games of competition. I love the strategy of it. I love not killing myself to be in the front. And, you know, knowing our positioning amongst the two in the front and knowing the shape that Jacob are in and knowing the rest we're taking and not rushing through things and boiling water and having full kits that we could have went to Nome with, like all these other things that I know just through, you know, my experience. Like, yeah, I'm thinking about like what would happen if we were to actually race, you know. I think that's like a two-sided thing. Like, one, I think we can be competitive at the front for sure.
I'm a very competitive person, I think. Like, I just keep that to myself. Like, I don't, like, voice it or whatever. I'm just kind of, like, telling myself, like, all right, you got this. Like, let's try to hammer it out. And I think it's so hard to be competitive in this type of event specifically because, like, the conditions really dictate, like, what's going to happen, whether or not you could be a super competitive person. Because everybody has a shot. And when I say everybody, I mean everyone has a shot. It's super easy to go the wrong way. It's like everybody walks the same speed at half a mile an hour. So like, but I think I definitely have a desire to push myself harder, like, and race pace and like less kit and like do like the proper race on some of these events. I think the experience that I've learned from this event, I think will carry over into other events, and I think the competitive nature, I think, will also grow after this event. I think I have that desire to be like, oh, I kind of like this sleep deprivation. Like, maybe let's mess around with that some more on some of these events, because I think it's all about strategy. Like, I think I learned a lot from strategy in this race for sure, and I think that will carry over into my next event.
I purposely asked him to lead quite a bit, honestly. And I know he likes to ride the climbs like he does. And so, like, for me, I just want to let him be and not get off the bike, because on and off the bike is actually slower. It actually takes more work to get on and off and this and that. And so, like, you know, let him lead through those sections. Then I just follow, and that's great. And then maybe I take some more of the lead on some of the flatter stuff, because I know, like flats is where people start to kind of drift down a little bit. It's an easy place to ease up, to go from 5 to 4, and I would say I'm pretty good and disciplined at keeping that up at 5 and 6. Like, so, and that's just like, that's me kind of controlling the situation in a certain sense because I know our strengths and weaknesses. Any team that works well together will use those strengths and weaknesses to make a better outcome. That's why it's a fun game to travel with somebody.
I'd say things went pretty smooth between Jay and I. We don't really get into arguments. I think that's what makes pairs less successful. And I think Jay and I make decisions really well together. And I just kind of go off his experience and knowledge. I'm not going to try to argue like, I don't know anything. Like, I'm not going to go out there and be like, oh, this is how we're going to do it. Like, no, he's done this event 11 times. Like, if he asks for my input, I'll gladly share it, and we'll try to figure out like the best outcome. Like, I might not have a new insight, and that might be different. But usually we're going off his knowledge, and once we get to a decision, we both make it. It's not one or the other, really.
It's a lot of time to spend with someone on the trail, and it's not always easy. Like, you know, I mentioned in like a social post, like I'm not the easiest person to travel with, and I don't say that because like it has nothing to do with my ability. It has to do with like, because I can be a strict racer, and I know I can like be ready before the other person, and that I know that adds additional stress to that person. I know that person, you know, that makes that feeling be different. Oh man, I gotta hurry up. Oh, I'm not ready. Like, I understand that dynamic, and I'm not doing this on purpose. So I don't know, maybe you'll ask him that question, but like maybe internally he was yelling at me the whole time. I don't know, but he never expressed it. Maybe he was swearing at me the whole time, but I've never heard it. I was never frustrated. We never had an argument. We talk about things like two adults would talk about something, and we make decisions together. So there's not like, there's nothing that's unfair in the relationship or the travel. Like, everything is like open and talked about, and like no hard feelings on like anything that someone else does. Like, yeah, I can watch him, maybe they're not mistakes, but like do things different, or maybe just not the way I would do it. Like, that doesn't like bother me. Like, I just say, hey man, like maybe put the gaiters on your other feet because they're on the wrong legs actually. And and some of that stuff is jokingly, but then some of it's for real, and it's more of just like this education thing. And I hope he doesn't get frustrated by it. I hope he's not frustrated with me.
The 1,000 miles to Nome is, I feel like it's on my radar. That's one of like I think people have said it before, it's definitely one of the hardest events in the world. More people summit Everest in an afternoon than I finished to Nome. So I think it's on my radar. No comment about what I might be doing next year, but I think it intrigues me, and I'd like to do it someday. I think at the final night, I had like a little bit mental hurdle. I just had to tell myself like, hey, you're going to be up all night and you're going to be walking. It's going to be hard, but you just got to do it because you can't sleep. Like, there's no other option than to just do it. And then once like, I think the hardest time was between 1 and maybe 3 o'clock is when I was the most tired. I was just like, oh dude, this is really hard. But like once 4 o'clock started to roll around, like that's when I kind of started to perk up. I kind of felt like it was morning. I could like maybe see a little bit of light coming into it, and then it's all got better from there. It started to feel like morning. I'm a morning person, and I think I forgot about all that tiredness until I like crossed the finish line and got off my bike, stood there for a minute, and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of tired.
Let's get the stove out, light the stove, start melting water, and then set up our bivvies, and we make a big meal, a freeze-dried meal that's hot, so get some big calories in, then drink a couple cups of hot water to hydrate. I know I'm not hydrating properly during the day, so I hydrate at night and drink a bunch of hot water, so when I get into my bag, I'm filled with hot water and hot food. And then you sleep super well, and you sleep warm. If you just go down, you're probably gonna sleep cold, reality. And then we boil a bunch more water and fill up all of our thermoses. So we each got a thermos. And so then as soon as we wake up, we have hot water to kind of like, I'm a coffee dude, I need to have coffee as soon as I wake up, make a pack or two of oatmeal, boom, that thermos is cashed out, but we just had a bunch of hot food, and now we can move down the trail. That was our program every night.
So we tried to have as much nutrition as we could. Usually that's between 300-400 calories for me an hour. So I like to stay up on that. I like to have a lot of food. And I think that's one of the main reasons we weren't able to do the self-support is because, like, and when you run out of that, like, you just kind of get sad. So I think for food, we tried to have a meal every night, some oatmeal in the morning, and then something in the midday, like something hot, whether that's another thing of oatmeal. I think I had a ramen a couple of times, and then just a big meal every night, trying to load up on calories there while you sleep, and then just snacking throughout the day. Hydration, you just got to kind of force yourself to drink, especially when it's like cold and you're just doing your thing. That's why it's nice to have a hydration vest with just water right there. That's kind of just a go-to. It's right there. Like, you're not going to touch it if it's hard to get to in that condition. Like, you don't want to. You don't want to hassle with that. And then we also carried soft bladders with some electrolyte mix in there, some different flavor in your mouth, and those were super good. That was like awesome to have. And then the thermos, we had 25 ounces of water on our down tubes to make meals with. So that was kind of our water scenario.
We had Team Idaho of Greg and Rebecca that were kind of behind us. They were ahead of us, but we kind of leapfrogged a little bit here and there. And we did some leapfrogging with another guy that kind of finished behind us, Chris Roble, who I met with Tracy in 2009. So, you know, those interactions were pretty fun. And I'm definitely someone who like prefers to be alone on the trail, but like I really enjoyed some of that interaction.
Yeah, so everybody was super friendly. We interacted with a lot of the bikers, so Aaron, Fletcher, Chris, Rebecca, and Greg a few times, and all those guys were like super friendly. We chatted up. I think we rode a good bit with Chris. We kind of yo-yoed back and forth for a while. We met Greg and Rebecca and Roan, and we just talked to them for a little bit, and then we'd see, we caught Fletcher and Aaron at the Finger Lake checkpoint. We were pulling in, they were pulling out, and we also passed them during the morning on our way to Roan, and they were coming back from Roan, so we just talked to them for a little bit. But everybody's super friendly out there. Like, nobody's not talking to anyone. Like, no one's that competitive, I don't think. So everybody's super friendly, like, oh, how's the trail? Or like, how are you? Like, keeping up with stuff. But not long conversations, just trying to check in on each other, really.
You know, the one thing I worry about is my hands. You hear me talk about it all the time. My circulation is absolutely terrible. But I actually had great success with my hands. You know, I cracked 2 hand warmers a day, and that kept my hands warm. So that allows me to move them. And I'm not numb today. That's awesome. Knees were a bit achy. That's pretty par for the course when you're grinding snow like that and riding the hills like we were. So knees were a little achy, but overall, like, I feel actually really good.
Later on in the ride, I got some saddle sores that I never treated, but I just had to be mindful of while I was getting on and off the bike, because no one's used to that on and off the bike that much, especially if your saddle height's a little bit too high. So you just kind of get rubbing there and it just gets irritating. I had some swelling in the knees, but everyone gets that, especially when you're walking that much. So nothing that was too severe, nothing that I was really worried about, just natural stuff. When we were coming up on the finish line, we came from the backside. We saw some people out there and like on either side of the road with their phones out, like cheering us on. So that was an awesome feeling. As I was approaching the finish line, I was just joking with myself. I'm like, all right, you got 700 more miles to go to Nome. But it felt really good to see my parents. They were at the finish line. I really liked that. It was good to see the other riders, Fletcher and Aaron. Those guys are super cool. And then we saw some of friends of Jay's that were out there. They were super good to see again. I met them a couple times. But coming across the finish and seeing those people it was super comforting, and it was really nice. It felt really good when I crossed the finish line. Know that all the work I put into it on the trainer, packing the bike again and again and again, like just going through the methods and just knowing like, wow, like it's never done, but you're done for now. And I think that was just super relieving to myself, and I was just super excited about that. Like, all this work I put in, like, I get a little break now, but it was super rewarding because I know how much work I put into it and how much like people supported me through it, and I was just super proud of myself to like not let anyone down or myself down.
Thanks so much for squeezing Dirty Teeth into your busy schedule. Please help us reach more people and ensure you receive new videos by giving this video a like, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell. Until next time, ride bikes, give back, pay it forward.